How we doing, folks? Your host Moose here on the Pitt Panthers Football Network, and this is actually going to be part one of a two-part around the NCAA and Week 6 preview episode, because we got a big one coming up. College Gameday is going to Death Valley. It's going to Clemson for your Pitt Panthers taking on Clemson next week. But we're going to recap what happened this past week. Of course, Panthers, very, very easy time of it against Miami of Ohio. They did come to Pitt. The Panthers jumped out to a 35-10 halftime advantage and finished up winning 52-10. 2 touchdowns for Shantez Moss. Olison scored. Quadri Henderson had 2 touchdowns. Maurice French scoring. Chris Clark scoring. So fantastic game all around for the Panthers. 234 yards rushing, 355 passing, 12 of 50 on third down, 6 for 6 in the red zone, 5 touchdowns and 1 field goal. So I mean, you can't say enough about how the Panthers played in this one. No turnovers, which is hasn't happened very many times this year. So 589 yards to toss, 30 first downs, which is incredible. So it's still not a ton of big plays, but enough to do the job. Ben DiNucci was fantastic in this one. 25 completions, 37 attempts, 320 yards and 4 touchdowns. Thomas McVitie, 4 completions, finally had a couple on the season. The rushing attack was split up pretty well. Quadri Olison, 74 yards. Shantez Moss, 67 yards. Darren Hall, 22 yards. DiNucci, 22 yards. Quadri Henderson had 41 yards as well on 3 carries. So fantastic there. And receiving-wise, I think we had 10, maybe 11 different receivers catching passes. Jester, we have 5 for 69 to lead the way. Aaron Matthews with 5 as well, which is fantastic. Quadri with 4. Chris Clark, 3 for 22. Shantez Moss, 3 for 63, including a 37-yarder and a touchdown. Fantastic from him. Arujo Lopes, 2. Quadri Olison, 2. Flowers fling. I mean, we were fantastic all over the place. We got a ton of players involved in the offense. Salim Brightwell is an absolute monster in this game. 10 tackles, which was more than double anybody else in the lineup. 2 sacks for Keyshawn Camp. 3 tackles for a loss as well for himself and Brightwell. Dwayne Hendricks with a sack. Sean Wolfgang with his first career sack. The freshman Amir Watts with a sack. So 5 sacks for the Panthers was fantastic. And 2 interceptions. DeMar Hamlin and Jordan Whitehead both with their interceptions, and Hamlin had a pass deflected as well. Keyshawn Camp forced a fumble and Dwayne Hendricks recovered. So I mean, just an all-around fantastic performance. Hopefully one to give the defense some confidence heading into a very tough game. And, of course, we see the kickers did well in addition. But I think the biggest thing to see is how well the passing game did. DiNucci has kind of been, the running game has kind of been the focal point of the offense. Quadri Olison with a ton of yards. Shantez Moss doing a good job. There's jet sweep game with Quadri Henderson doing so very well. So it's good to see DiNucci put up a 300-plus yard, 4-touchdown performance. He was actually the MVP of this game for the Panthers, the player of the game. So it was a great showing by him, and one that hopefully he'll build on, especially going into a matchup against the top team in the land, as the Panthers are going to be taking on Clemson in the next matchup here. But if we take a look around the ACC this past week, Pitt, of course, over Miami. Louisville just escaped Georgia Tech 35-34 with 14 points in the fourth quarter. A huge come from behind effort. Lamar Jackson with a couple of touchdowns, and actually he was injured, so they had their backup quarterback Bolin in, and he threw the game-winning touchdown pass with a minute to play in the fourth quarter. So a huge come from behind win for Louisville. Clemson goes into Miami, the number 1 team in the country, against the number 6 team in the country, and they win 38-31, an absolute shootout. Take a look at the scoring. It was even at halftime, 21-21. Deshaun Watson had a fantastic performance as you go through here. He had 3 touchdown passes and a touchdown run, and then Clemson holds off Miami by a single touchdown in this particular matchup. So an unbelievable game there. Notre Dame 31-17 over North Carolina. NC State gets an easy win. Virginia Tech obliterates Western Michigan. Florida State just escapes Wake Forest 28-23, and Syracuse 27-10 over Virginia. If we go into the top 25 matchups, Wisconsin over Bowling Green. Ohio State obliterates Kent State 38-7, and JT Barrett with a fantastic performance in that particular matchup. Then, of course, you got Arkansas upsetting Texas A&M, who was previously undefeated, 28-21. Fourth quarter touchdown pass from Allen to O'Grady gives Arkansas the lead they never relinquished. And then a big upset, Michigan loses their second in a row. They lost to Notre Dame last week. They lose to Northwestern at home. Northwestern putting up 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to take the lead away from Michigan, then never relinquishing it. You can see Wilton Spade actually got hurt in the game. O'Korn had to come in. He did lead Michigan on 3 touchdown drives in the second half, but they still lose. And then the big upset here, or I guess not so much of a big upset at this point, is Oklahoma loses their 3rd game as they lose to Iowa State 28-16. Oregon State knocks San Diego State from the realm of the unbeatens. Of course, the Notre Dame victory. UCLA 49-27 over Colorado. Tennessee puts up 69. Nice. Against an FCS squad. Auburn wins the stand beaten. LSU wins the stand beaten. Texas obliterates West Virginia 31-7. TCU 35, SMU 3. Georgia wins. Connecticut obliterates Baylor in Waco 38-10 to knock the Bears from the unbeatens. In this case, just obliterates them. Jumps out to a 21-0 lead and never looks back. Florida State wins. Navy wins 24-17 over ECU, and Washington beating Georgia State, and Alabama smacking Ole Miss in our game of the week, but not exactly the game of the week. It should be the Clemson-Miami game from this past week. So big performances this week. Corey Winfield with 3 interceptions for Syracuse in their win, and Brian Sheriffs in the upset win over Baylor, 303 yards, 55 rushing, and 4 touchdowns. So great game for the redshirt senior quarterback out of UConn. As we look around into the ACC, of course, Corey Winfield is going to win ACC Defensive Player of the Week. There's no doubt about that with 3 interceptions. Gerard Evans, 5 touchdowns on 280-plus yards in a victory over Western Michigan. In the Big Ten, David Blau from Purdue, Deontay Roberts from Rutgers. Big 12 saw Kyle Hicks and Montrell Wilson win Players of the Week. Pac-12, Christian McCaffrey still at school, the senior, 145 yards and 3 touchdowns for Stanford. And then the SEC, Bryce Ramsey, the quarterback for Georgia, with 4 touchdowns in a big win for them. So after this week's games, you can see the top 8 stays the same. The top 5 stays the same. Pitt jumps up to number 6, so it'll be another 1 versus 6 matchup this week. Was Clemson Miami last week? It'll be Clemson and Pitt this week. Georgia's up to 7 at 3-1. TCU undefeated is number 8. Miami falls back to 9 after their loss, so 3 spots down. Penn State, jumps up to number 10, so they're in the top 10. So 2 PA schools in the top 10 in Pitt and Penn State. Louisville at 11, UCLA at 12, Florida State 13, Tennessee 14. Texas A&M falls back to 15 with their loss to Arkansas, who you can see is in the polls now at 21. Wisconsin up to 17, Washington 18, Notre Dame up to 20. Arkansas is into the polls at 21 with their victory. Baylor falls all the way back to 22 after getting obliterated by UConn. Auburn, under the radar at 4-0 right now, is number 23. Michigan falls all the way back to 24th. And Virginia Tech is up to number 25, but they have a tough task with number 9, Miami, coming up this week. So after looking at that, we are going to take a look at a couple of the big games this week, other than the fact that Pitt and Clemson will have that in, after the break, I should say. But Texas against Oklahoma, Oklahoma's having a very, very poor year. 116th ranked scoring offense. But when these two teams get together, you never know what's going to happen. Herb Street sees Texas win, and I have to agree with him with how bad Oklahoma's offense has looked this season, how good Texas has looked. I think the Longhorns win this one easily. Big ACC matchup, number 25, Virginia Tech travels to take on number 9, Miami. They're looking to get a home victory after losing to Clemson last week, and I think they do with how, they've been very solid. These teams are actually evenly matched, but I think Miami wins the turnover battle, and it lets them win this game. But if we look at Virginia Tech, their defense is very, very solid. If they can curtail the Miami offense, then they may have a chance, but I see Miami win this one. Georgia goes to Tennessee, to Knoxville, to take on the Volunteers. Georgia's been very impressive this season. Their offense looks fantastic. Number 9 defense in the country. Herb Street has Tennessee win, but I think Georgia comes out of this one with a victory. I just see the Bulldogs winning this one. It's going to be very tough. Both teams top 5 in the country in turnover differential. That's going to be where this game is won and lost. There's no doubt about that, but I just see Georgia shutting down the Volunteers. Another big game, Arkansas State, and Arkansas in the battle for who's the best team in Arkansas. how many times can you say Arkansas in a sentence? Arkansas. But the Razorbacks hosting the Red Wolves or whatever they are. But they've been fantastic. Number 6 points per game in the country, number 8 offense. So that's a tough matchup to see if Arkansas State can stay undefeated and beat the Razorbacks. And of course, the Pitt Clemson preview is going to be a full, huge preview. It's going to be like College Gameday style. We're going to go into who Pitt got, who's Clemson got, how has their matchups gone last season, who's going to win this season, who are the top players for each team, and some big storylines coming into this matchup. So we're going to get in depth for you, and then we have some Pitt recruiting news coming up next episode as well. So be on the lookout for that. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see ya in the next episode. Hail to Pitt. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.